At BT India at 100, we're joined by R.Gopalan, former Economic Affairs Secretary. Thank you, sir, for joining us on Business Today. That was an excellent chat. But to start off with, I must carry on the point that you had mentioned, and this is keeping aside all the geopolitical developments in the country, and a lot has happened since you've left the Finance Ministry. How do you see the India's growth story in the coming years?
India's growth story, in my view, is the sound foundations for growth have been laid. What it requires is there are certain issues which prevent that growth, that potential from fully manifesting itself. For instance, I spoke about the economic freedom, the ranking of the economic freedom in this country, how we are lowered down, and what all steps we should do to ensure that the economic freedom really becomes a freedom for everybody to freely act and get his best out. So that's an area where we need to really ensure that government delivers that. And without the government's help, that cannot be delivered. In my view, that's a essential thing for this country to grow forward. Of course, there are other things which were talked about, like education, skills development. Unless you have today the median age of Indians about 28. Okay, now in about maybe by 2035, 40 it will become 38. But we are aging. But with these people, if you are able to get the best for the economy, because the more number of hands, the GDP grows. But if they are going to be equally skilled, then the quality of life will be better, the growth will be even faster or higher. So my view is that the skills which are required for people to really get into is very important. Health, public health is going to be very, very, very significant, because even there are so many people who are at a margin, those people, how do they become healthy and they are able to work, contribute, and then make a decent income and therefore contribute to the GDP of the country. So health, public health at the prevention level is very, very important. You have at the tertiary level, you have got good policy instruments are there which are going to help. But at the basic level, at the primary health level, we are doing really good, but then we need to cover the entire lot of people. And obviously there are other areas where we need to look at how we manage issues relating to industrialization. Climate change is another big issue which we cannot forget it at this point in time. And the sooner we accept, the country accepts fully and then start moving into, is going to be very, very significant. Solar, wind, and for that, what are the foundations which are required, like semiconductors and those kind of things. Those are areas where government is grappling. They know, but how speedily they are going to come up with policies and programs for this, that will be watched very keenly.
Would you agree, sir, that controlling inflation comes at a cost? I mean, I know that current government is betting big on reducing the fiscal deficit and staying on the target that they had actually announced in the budget, which is at 6.2% of the GDP. But do you think it's time India gears up to kind of prepare a strategy in case there is a recession, a global recession?
Well, global recession will have an impact on our exports, certainly. Obviously,
and that will, of course, have an impact on our rupee value.
Will have an impact on our rupee value, will have impact on our GDP. Yes, it's all, the global recession will not leave us untouched. We will face. But we are not at that level where we are flipping into a recession. We are at a level where we are growing at about 7% or 6.5% to 7% this year, and maybe about 6% next year. But at best, it can shave off about 1% of growth of GDP in the country, but it will not cause us the kind of recession which other countries, advanced countries, are going to face. There are various reasons for why they have done, but we have been a little more cautious in the way we handle the COVID pandemic, and therefore there is a possibility that we may not get affected the way other countries, the advanced countries, are getting affected. But we will have a problem, because it's an interdependent world today. You cannot say that I I'm insulated from all this. No, you are not.
Last 8 years, you've seen that the Modi government has been quite focusing on privatization, and you did mention about the role of private players and this whole reform of disinvestment that the government is taking up. Your comments on that, because we've also seen. How do you think things have changed in terms of policy making in last 10 years when it comes to privatization?
No, there has been a good emphasis on privatization. Look at the way with the FDI caps and the sectors in which FDI was that has been removed. Looking at the way the government, companies, PSUs are getting, the way, some of them are divested. You had one when Mr. Vajpayee's regime was there. Now it has happened now after a gap of so many years. Okay, so
Is that Hindustan Zinc?
yeah, Hindustan Zinc. So that has now happened. So the thing is that the selling of those institutions which government should not be in. Government should not be in business. Okay, government should facilitate business. Government should not be running business. So the kind of institutions which are not required for the government for strategic reasons, then those should, in my view, be disposed of. So long as as long as they retain a good value, that's the time for you to dispose it off. Not when they become loss-making entities where you don't have any people to pick it up except the land. Nothing else people will pick it up. So there is a timeliness by which these kind of decisions are taken and implemented. That is where I am looking at. There has been some difficulties due to variety of reasons, stock market reasons or various other reasons. There have been some slowdown at some point in time, but I see now acceleration of that now to ensure that we are able to achieve the goal which government has stated.
Thank you for talking to us. Those are great points to come from you. Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.